Another week, another massive security and privacy breach at Facebook, this time involving their Kid Safe Messenger app. Hey, everybody, I'm Steve Green with Bill Whittle and Scott Ott, and this is Right Angle, brought to you by the members of BillWhittle.com. Gents, this just came out on The Verge on Monday. Facebook hasn't admitted to anything publicly, but they're clearly going to have to address this soon. They sent a message out to apparently thousands of parents who have to approve of all the contacts on their Messenger Kids app, that there has been a huge security flaw, that in their group chats, anybody can join, including untold numbers of unauthorized adults in video chats involving preteen kids, who are the target audience for Facebook's Messenger Kids. And this is not the first time this has happened. Facebook has said that this has involved thousands of chats. But I want to run back a little history here. In April of last year, Facebook admitted that it had exposed the personal data of 87 million users to the data harvesting firm Cambridge Analytica. You probably remember that huge scandal. But just the month before, they said, oh, it's only 50 million. And it turns out that in the end, almost all of Facebook's 2 billion users had had their private information just out there for any of these data scraping, data harvesting firms to get to. They had a similar problem with Instagram, where they said, you know what, it turns out a couple 100,000 Instagram users had their passwords stored in plain text, where anybody with access to Google servers could read these photo sharing passwords. And then it turns out that it was millions of Instagram users. And then it turns out a month later they admitted it was hundreds of millions of Instagram users. And so now we have a situation involving kids. Scott, what do you do? How do you, as a parent, because I don't let my kids have social media, but so many parents do. How do you as a parent protect your kids when the tools advertised as protecting your kids have these huge security flaws baked right in?
Allowing your child to have access to social media like this is just as safe as allowing your child to star in a Disney TV show. I mean, it is just like, you might as well just open the door and say, come on, big bad world, come on in. I want you to meet my youngster. And this is coming from a guy who spent about a decade on social media. And then this year, I've deleted all the apps from my phone in January. And this month, I actually started the killing of my Facebook account process. It takes a while because they want to make sure that you have a good long time to consider. You can't just say, I want to scrub my account and get rid of it. You have to wait 30 days. Like, I'm on probation with Facebook now, who's holding my data and deciding, to give me another opportunity so that I don't completely ruin my life. There's nobody that can be trusted with your data. The question is, it's one thing to say, I'm an adult, I'm going to take the risk. It's a measured risk, and and I'm going to handle the consequences. It's another thing to subject your child to that. It's bad enough that so many children have sort of unmonitored access to all kinds of video games that promote messages that are designed to let's just say not to develop a happy, productive society, but also to have these social media sites, which is just the worst kind of influence for your kid if everything's working correctly. If it's all functioning as it's supposed to, it's designed to destroy your child. But it's even worse because the terrorist only has to be right once. See, like, Facebook has to have a lockdown system all the time, but somebody hacking Facebook only has to get it right once, and they can download that entire trove of data, and then your kid's information is out there in the hands of the most malevolent kinds of actors. I know that there are parents. I experienced this once when one of my children was in 8th grade, and I went to a dance. And I'm standing around with a group of parents. It was me and like 9 mothers. There were no dads there. And the DJ was a 15-year-old kid playing for a bunch of 7th and 8th graders at this dance, right? And the DJ is playing this song that's some sort of rap song about really graphic sexual acts, okay? Lord. For a bunch of 13 and 14-year-olds. And I was kind of a stranger to this group, and I looked and I said, is this something that you do here all the time? Is this what this school is all about? And they said, oh, no, but what can you do? I mean, that's what kids are doing these days. And I said, watch me. And I went
you
over
talked to the DJ?
I went over to the DJ and I said,
Good for
son,
you.
do you got any music in your collection that's not about graphic sexual acts? And he looked at me and he went, yes, sir. And he immediately took the song off, and the rest of the night played nothing but, Build Me Up Buttercup. I mean, no, it wasn't.
You can do.
But it's, you need to be the parent. You need to step up.
Yeah.
You need to,
Great line.
you need to protect your kid.
Absolutely. You know what, Bill, as a small L libertarian leaning conservative or conservative leaning libertarian, whatever the hell I am.
Conservatarian, yeah.
There you go. I'm really wary of antitrust and Congress messing things up. But this story, I think, is really just getting rolling because it just came out late on Monday. It only involves, so far, a few thousand of these group chat rooms, which, as I said, included video chat. But this, as I said, with this history of Facebook slow rolling, releasing the real size of their security breaches, I think this story is going to have some legs, and those legs are going to get longer. Is this the time for Congress to do something really stupid?
Well, the argument as far as Facebook, YouTube, and Google are concerned is the argument between are you a publisher or a carrier.
Yep.
Let me just very briefly restate that for those people who may not be familiar. We are a publisher here at BillWhittle.com. We publish opinion, and we are responsible for the opinion that we publish. YouTube, Google, and Facebook claim they're carriers, which is to say that if somebody were to say something outrageous, do something outrageous, issue some kind of slur, you can't sue Facebook or YouTube for it. Their position is we're simply carrying the message. But when the carrier becomes political, they're no longer a carrier. Then when they start editorializing, like selecting who sees what, now they're a publisher as far as I'm concerned, and that alone is reason enough to get the government involved. There are two things here that I think bear talking about. First of all, I don't know of a single soul personally who is not well past peak social media. I mean, I don't know a living person who's like, this social media stuff is kind of exciting. It was kind of exciting. It was. In 2003, 2004, 2005, it was just amazing, and all this other stuff. People are leaving Twitter. People are leaving Facebook. They're just bailing out because it's, number one, it's doing a lot of harm. And as you said, even when it's working right, there's that phenomenon of every kid seeing everybody else posting the very best things in their lives. It makes your child feel like, they're such losers because everybody else is always out there partying and smiling, but they're not partying and smiling. They're just putting their best face up on the posts. So I think we're well past peak social media, and I'll tell you what I would like to see replace all of this social media, all of it. And I just had this thought just now. It's probably $1 trillion idea, so those of you with initiative, go ahead and I won't even expect the credit for it, but that's okay. What I would like, I think you could replace the entire social media scene with one website, and it would be blockchain secure. And all this website would do would be to connect you to people you wanted to be connected with. That's all. And then you could send out whatever videos, tweets, posts, whatever. You get to decide who's in the network, who's not. Nobody else gets to read it. That way, you could have the benefits of social media in terms of dispensing a message and having followers and stuff, but no one would get to read it. No one would get to edit it. It would just be a blockchain locked room where I say I'm going to invite this person. If they opt in, then they have access, and that's it. There wouldn't be any content. You'd provide the content. I think that would solve all of our problems and keep almost all of the advantages. But the bigger issue really is about the kids. And look, this is the least of the dangers that kids face out there. It really is. I'm not trying to minimize it, but I mean, when you think about the ease of finding graphic pornography, horrible violence, the internet is the internet because you can get anything on it. And even if you're the kind of parent who very, very correctly limits your kids to a certain number of social media hours a week, the way people used to do for television for families that cared about their kids, it doesn't matter on some level because your kids are sooner or later going to end up at some other kid's house, and that other kid's not going to have good parents, and they're going to see the things that they really shouldn't be seeing. And all I have to say about this is the internet is on the darkest end of it. The internet is a village that is just plagued with every disease known to man. It's filled with bubonic plague, typhus, measles, smallpox. Everything is out there. And to expect that your child can walk through that town without catching those diseases is, you can't protect your child from the disease. All you can do is inoculate them. I think the only chance you have to protect your kids from what is out there is to create inside themselves an unwillingness to go to those dark places, because you cannot protect them from access to these things. It's just too ubiquitous. It's just everywhere. Some kid on a bus on a way home can simply reach into his cell phone and start playing porno on the back of the school bus. There's nothing you as a parent can do about that other than to make it clear to your own children what the dangers of this are, what the damage is, and do your best to inoculate them in this world that is creating a new kind of person. And I know they can process data very quickly, but I see many signs of qualities in this online generation, this smartphone generation, that I find extremely worrisome. And I know every generation always worries about the next generation, but I'm not aware ever of having a generation that is in their 20s and 30s and still has an emotional makeup of a 5 or 6 year old, like when it comes to how you spell hamster. So it's much tougher, but it is ultimately your responsibility to install in your kids the same kind of stuff that was installed with me with drugs. It's just like I was just one of those kids, just had it hammered into my head. Drugs are fatal. They're for losers. And if you go down that road, you may not come back. So it was just never anything I particularly had a problem with.
Yeah, I've got 2 young ones at home, 13 and just turned 9, and this stuff it haunts me a little bit. It bugs me. I'm doing the best I can. So's my wife Melissa. Listen, Facebook's model is anti-security and it's anti-privacy. Their model is to create an environment that encourages people to share as much of their personal information as they are willing to, and entice them into sharing even more, and then to use that data to sell targeted ads, which are extremely profitable, or in some cases to just sell the data outright to firms like Cambridge Analytics. So their model is, as I said, it's anti-privacy, it's anti-security. These things harm Facebook's bottom line. They're not interested in them. One of their people just testified in court in the last few weeks that there's no such thing as privacy on Facebook, and this is what they say when they're under oath in court. In Congress, in testimony not too long ago, another one of Facebook's people said, "Listen, there's no privacy because people just share everything," and it's all in the pursuit of selling targeted ads. So I would suggest just a couple of things. And I'm usually aghast at the idea of using antitrust to break up companies or any of the rest. But I would split Facebook up into its component companies, Facebook and Instagram and whatever else, and put up a privacy firewall between those companies to prevent them from sharing or selling data to or from one another. And I would put a punitive tax on all targeted advertising sold by social media. And I maybe even have a rebate built into that punitive tax for the people who use social media, so at least that they get some money back for all of this data that they're giving away to companies like Facebook and Twitter. And just make it a big damn tax. Their business model, as I said, it is so un-American, it's just revolting. So take it away from them. And I got to tell you, as a libertarian-minded soul, that bugs the hell out of me. But given the network effects involved, I don't know what else to do with a company that would treat children in this way. And I'm trying not to fearmonger here, but I've read the stories, I've seen the history, and this is what I'm forced to conclude. And you know what? When your theory runs up against reality and your theory is what comes up short, you got to adapt your theory, don't you? So that's what I've done in this case. Thanks for watching. This is brought to you by the members of BillWhittle.com. I'm Steve Green with Bill Whittle and Scott Ott. This has been Right Angle. We'll see you next time.